Shane. Soumillon was ecstatic after the race, as you'd expect. She won it with plenty in hand, it appeared, but a controversial decision, a brave one as well from the stewards in front of 100,000 fans demoting the odds-on favourite.
Sure how they came about the conclusion, Andrew, and this just puts more credence to the fact that at some stage in the not too distant future, world racing needs to unite and have uniform rulings across the board, because to my eye, I just don't understand how she could be demoted. She came from behind Rose Kingdom. She went past him. Yes, she brought him in slightly, but was he going as well as what she was? No, not to my eye. She blew him away. And I think this is possibly going to set Japanese racing back just a little bit, because she is the champion that they were looking for. You know, hot off the heels of having Vodka win the race last year and some epic clashes between Vodka and Dewa Scarlet go back a few years back before then with Deep Impact. Japanese racing were looking for a new superstar mare to carry them on to the next 12 months or so. And she was it, and she's been robbed.
Yeah, well, it was quite a prolonged inquiry, 24, 25 minutes, I think. The winner's quite good. He was the leading two-year-old and placed in the Classics this year, but still clearly second best on the day. Of the European Challenge as well, Shane, didn't really measure up. Sirista Agla was the first one home in 9th place.
Yeah, look, I think international stables really need to have a serious and long look at what they're doing when they're targeting the Japan Cup. The history of the race in the 30th runnings, the international horses that have won have all been absolute superstars. So you just can't take a progressive Group 3, Group 2 horse.
Defending his 12 out of 12 record, stepping up to 2,200 metres. He had 60 kgs on his back. It was a wet track as well.
And last of all, dropping out Pina Colada on the bend, and Escamonda shows the way at the 600. Ravages goes up to eyeball him in the cup as they turn. Zach Missile trying to peel off their back, followed in behind them then by Watchai. Coming into it now is Big Maverick. He's produced nicely, and back in behind that pack is Talatale, Escamonda, and Ravages inside the final 300, but here's Big Maverick. Big Maverick lurches down the outside. Talatale is getting through. Big Maverick went to the lead in the cup, getting through Risky Business. Talatale trying to chase it down. Big Maverick in front, but here's Boss on Risky Business. Risky Business went by it. Talatale finishes on grandly. Big Maverick stays around, but the cup goes to Risky Business and Steve Burridge. Risky Business by 2, second tight Talatale or Big Maverick, followed by Zach Missile, Pina Colada.
Glenn Boss in the saddle for Stephen Burridge on Risky Business. Talatale in second, Big Maverick in third. Better Than Ever. Well, if you're going to lose your unbeaten record, that's the way to do it. Shane, we find ourselves talking about the beaten horses, who was the headline horse, Better Than Ever. There was a bit of scrimmaging here close up, but no problems in the end. But what a great ride from Glenn Boss.
Don't think there's any bigger race jockey or better big race jockey than Glenn Boss. When he's in form, he is absolutely sensational. This was a great performance by Risky Business, who was a somewhat cheap purchase from the 2006 Magic Millions yearling sale for $90,000, given Stephen Burridge probably his biggest success in Singapore in taking out the race. But Glenn Boss really made the difference here. He just gave this horse an absolute dream ride, and he proved far too good. It was exciting to see.
And Better Than Ever was giving a lot of weight away. The wet track, the step up in distance, what are we putting it down to? Very disappointing, it's got to be said.
Yeah, very disappointing for racing fan sort of scenario, but the fact of the matter is he was carrying 60 kilos from a somewhat awkward gate at a distance that he'd never tried before previously, and you could probably suggest on his bloodlines that he was always going to find a little bit of a stretch. I'm not disputing the fact I thought he'd win the race, but there are a few things that, in hindsight, really counted against him. The track was somewhat wet. He clearly didn't like that, particularly with so much weight on his back. And he's had a very busy season, Andrew. Like, he's come a long way for a lightly